Hey folks, it's Patriot Nurse. Thank you for joining me today. In this video, I want to discuss with you the Supreme Court's decision related to mandates, and I want to also discuss with you the nurses' strike that's going on and the general state of healthcare and labor shortages in the United States. So this is a very important video, and I want to thank you for your attention. Please stay with me throughout the totality of it, because you're going to want to hear this. The first thing I want to discuss is the mandate. And the Supreme Court of the United States, regardless of what outcome and what verdict that they render, they are not the keepers, purveyors of morality. They are not the keepers and purveyors of freedom. One need only examine history, particularly fugitive slave returning cases, to recognize that they have been wrong before, and that just because a law is a law, that doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it consistent with higher law, with natural law, with divine order. Just because a bunch of people sit on a bench and render a verdict, that doesn't make it right. So I don't care what the outcome is. Nobody is going to tell me what I am required to put into my body. That's that. Going forward, specifically because this issue is dovetailing directly into nursing and healthcare staffing issues and nationwide shortages, and it's not being talked about, I want to pull the curtain back a little bit. You'll have to pardon me, by the way, because I just got finished with, thank God, an amazing run. So I'm a little bit sweaty, but the truth is the truth. The nursing shortage. Nursing in the United States has been in chronic shortage of staffing for as long as I've been a nurse, so greater than, a dozen years now at this point, more than a decade. These issues didn't come up overnight. They were not somehow brought on suddenly by a pandemic. These issues circulate around many things, not the least of which is an aging population. I'm looking at, I'll link the article below that I was looking at related to the nurses who are striking right now. You have to understand that many people who went into nursing had unrealistic expectations about their job descriptions and the toll that it would take on them. I speak from experience about this. A lot of people went into nursing over the past 5 and 10 years because they saw bank and dollar signs. I've never seen that working as a staff nurse ever. But a lot of people thought that it was going to be, you go, you show up, you wear the stethoscope, and you make bank, and we live a happily ever after insulated bubble. And that's not the case. We are seeing nurses who are short-staffed right now for various different reasons, not the least of which is draconian mandates that have been placed upon the cohort. I am a child of God and a freedom-loving individual and a member of the Republic. I am a nurse way, way, way down the list. I'm a human being first. And when somebody tells me, because of a whole bunch of letters after my name or because of my job description, that I no longer retain sovereignty over my body, we're done. So the labor shortage here in nursing is not just some miraculous thing like, oh, we don't know how we got here. The working conditions and pay were poor in many cases to begin with. Good caregivers have been exasperated in their inability to render quality care and have been quitting en masse. We have a sicker population, which by default requires more energy, more intervention, more from the caregivers that are there. And then when you enter into the equation, crooked and corrupt mega healthcare corporation practices, including but not limited to enforcing mandates upon their people, firing people, penalizing people for maintaining and retaining body autonomy. This is not rocket science. If you treat people bad, they're going to leave. People are going to go where they're treated best. And so As a nurse, when you consider this, it's little wonder that fewer and fewer people want to show up for work. I have been advocating for self-sufficiency and preparedness for situations just like this. And when I started this channel, I felt like the Lord led me to do it. But when this all started over a decade ago now, this is one of the scenarios that I was warning people about the sequelae, the after effects of a pandemic, and not just upon the healthcare infrastructure itself, but the many faceted, far-reaching implications upon economies, upon social structure, certainly upon freedom, that come as a consequence of lots of people being scared of things that they can't see and crying desperately to a nanny state to get them out of it. So the nurses strike. When they're striking, there are many reasons for this, and different groups, different unions, different representative bodies for nurses have different things that they want out of this. But this situation is not going to get fixed with a strike. I'll tell you why. You may get more pay, but until you get more staffing, it's not going to get fixed. And you don't get more staffing by making it harder for people to work freely. You don't get more staffing by creating more barriers to entry, more government regulation, more corporate oversight of people's rights. You don't get quality healthcare providers with excellent critical analysis and stellar patient care to go into work for bad pay and having fewer and fewer rights at the end of the day. It's not going to happen. So the population that we're dealing with now, so we covered obviously the Supreme Court verdict doesn't make right. We covered the issues with striking, labor shortages, etc. But I also want to speak directly about the nature, the milieu in which all of this is taking place. We have had in the United States over the past 70 years and greater a progressive sickening of our population. People are living longer, thank God, but they're living sicker longer. And because of this, it didn't matter what type of pandemic, what type of disease, it did not matter. This is a canary in the coal mine event that really just brings into focus our poor choices en masse, the progressive sickening and weakening of people. We have historically, through our heavy interventionalism and reactionalism after the fact, medically, we have propped up this idea that people can live making chronically poor health choices in a consequencelessness environment. That is not the case. And unfortunately, it's taken a situation like this for many people to look around and say to themselves, gee whiz, if I am morbidly obese, that puts me at a greater risk for a whole lot of different things, not the least of which is feeling bad about myself, feeling dejected, not having any ability to accomplish my activities of daily living. It puts me at a greater risk of mortality from the unknown. So, regardless of what type of disease it is that's circulating around, we have mortality rates and morbidity rates in the United States that are horrible in some cases. But when you look at the patient populations, it is little wonder, because we've let people get away with this idea that you can live for decades abusing your body and there will be no consequences. And even if there are, we can wave our magic wand and undo it all. And that is not true. And going back to loop this all in together at the end of the video, thank you for paying attention to me and for investing in this viewing experience. Looping back together with the staffing issues. We have 30 years, 20 and 30 years worth of healthcare providers. Not everybody. But the generation that has come up in nursing school is a generation that, for the most part, has very little frame of reference for people passing away. Not everybody, obviously. That's a very broad statement to make, but I'm saying this not from an individual analysis, but from a broader sociological experience. Because people are living longer in the United States in this little snapshot, this little tiny window of healthcare providers who've come of age and who've gotten their education in this little tiny snapshot of window where there's no consequences for bad eating, there's no consequences for abusive lifestyles to your body. Because this generation has come up inside this snapshot, the situation is going to look that much more dire. Because their life experience is people don't die from X, Y, or Z. People don't get sick from X, Y, or Z. Regardless of, oh, sure, we'll give lip service to the fact that, oh, if you're morbidly obese, yeah, it might be a little bit more difficult for you to have happy outcomes with things. I say this not from a place of harshness, but I say this from a point of come to a reckoning with the situation in front of us. And so what factor is greater than just the staffing issues within nursing? It's greater than just the healthcare industry in its implications. This has very real implications for people who are not healthcare providers. And this is something I've talked about for years and years, and something that I've taught in my classes. The only person who you can trust to advocate for you and what's best for you is yourself. And how do you know what to advocate for? How do you even know which questions to ask to ensure that you're getting quality health care? You have to inform yourself. You have to take that discipline upon yourself to educate yourself, to be honest about the problem and to do the work, to honestly recognize where your strengths are and where your room for growth is. So in my classes, this is one of the things that I've taught people: assessment skills, recognizing important and critical things when dealing with respiratory issues, digestive diseases, wound care. This is critical stuff that we need to know. We are no longer at a place where we can afford to outsource all of our care to people who are A, short-staffed at the best of things, B, probably exhausted, and C, at this point, increasingly politically motivated and lacking objectivity when it comes to the historical import of maintaining our rights and our sovereignty at all costs. I hope it was helpful for y'all today. If you did enjoy the video, I hope you'll subscribe to me here on YouTube, Patriot Nurse. You can also support me on Patreon, subscribe to our cryptocurrency and PayPal. I'll have links below. Friends, let me encourage you, even if you don't get trained with me, get proper training with somebody who cares about you and who's going to set you up for success, to get you squared away to take care of your family, particularly when there is no doctor to turn to, particularly when the situation necessitates that you have to stay home for whatever reason. Let me encourage you to make that a priority for this year, to educate yourself and to make that investment in your family. One of the things that I love about our classes is that when people come, it's more than just, hi, I'm coming to learn from Patriot Nurse. They're getting to meet other like-minded people. The networking is a great term for it, but the camaraderie that's present in my classes, I'm so grateful for, because A, I have some of the best subscribers in the world, and B, my students who come to class are some of the most dialed in, amazing people, and just a joy to be around. So let me encourage you, friends, please make it a priority to educate yourself, because I don't think that these labor issues are going to resolve anytime soon. I hope it was helpful for y'all. Have a very blessed and wonderful weekend. May the Lord bless you and keep you all. For now, it's Patriot Nurse signing off, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.